Hello and good day. Looks like we are live here. I hope everybody's doing good and finding the stream okay. If at some point you guys could let me know, can you see and hear the stream okay? Once we know that you guys have the stream good on your end, we can get this thing going. As always, I pinned a message up at the top, so if you guys could let me know what countries you're coming from today and what altcoins you would like to look at. And let's see who we have in here so far. What's up, Delta, Brian, Addie? And it's always good to see you guys. What is up, Happy? Thank you so much. It means a lot. Dubai Fitness, my man. You're back again, dude. Good to see you. Thank you, DN. Good to see you, too. Also, thank you for letting me know that you're here. And thank you guys for smashing up the like button. It really means a lot. It helps the stream get seen by others. UAE. Then you must be really familiar with the new real-world asset coming out of the UAE then, sir, right? People are really pushing it really hard, saying the royal family's tied into it. I think it's called TRWA. We can try to look at it during the stream. But let me know, Dubai Fitness. Is that something you've ever heard of before? All right. What is up, Jamie? How are you, my guy? I hope everybody's doing really good. All right. So now that we know everybody can see and hear okay, I can see the chat okay. As always, guys, what we're going to do here very first is we are going to work through Bitcoin, and then we will move our way into Ethereum, and then into all the other altcoins that you guys want to discuss. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and get these first couple that we're going to do here written down. Forgot to bring my good paper to the office today, so we're going to write on chicken paper. All right. And my pen died, so it's perfect. BTC and Ethereum will be the first ones we cover. Let's see what else we got in here from you guys. Link in Ethereum, so I'll write down link, and that is for Brian. Link and Ethereum are still looking really good. Our last purchases on Link are pretty good and up, so I'm not really scared there. For Dubai Fitness, we have HASHAI, maybe? HASHAI and PAI. Thank you so much for those. All right, yes. Yeah, the Becker guy. Yeah, he's been super big on it. So if you can let me know, Dubai Fitness, I think the ticker for it is TRWA. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we should also look at that during the stream. All right, I have a request for AVAX. Let me write that down. I'm still into AVAX. AVAX still looking good. I still hold my spot. Let's go check near for 6 trouble also. All right, so I wrote down the couple of coins that I have now, and that'll get me going for a bit. As always, guys, feel free to chat it up in the chat. Hit me up with any questions you have. Hit those emojis up in the little chat thing. It really helps the stream get seen by others. And as always, let's go ahead and start with our Bitcoin macro. And then we'll work our way down to the micro, okay? I've been fairly long biased on Bitcoin for quite some time. I would say that anyone in my community knows exactly where I stand right now. They know that I'm still long from $110,270. I've sold off about 76 TRWA. Got it, Dubai Fitness. I've sold off about 76% of my Bitcoin long so far, and I'm totally fine for it to keep breaking out. But my strongest bias is going to be that Bitcoin gives us this way forward at some point. And the reason why, as we have talked about numerous times, is the 1-2 stacking down low, okay? Anytime we have 1-2 stacking, we typically like to see as it goes up the line, 3-4 stacking, okay? The thing about 1-2 stacking is we typically see these regions of the 2s get smaller as they go, right? And then whereas in the 4s, we typically see them get slightly bigger and maybe even a little more complicated. I would say that each wave 4 so far has been fairly complicated, so it lines up perfectly so far with what we typically expect. Let's get rid of these silly little lines on here. Now, I'm also very open to Bitcoin breaking out and going completely impulsive and leaving us behind. As always, that's something everybody has to be open to, right? What if your plan's wrong? So from here, if Bitcoin were to do that, which is not my plan, right? But as always, your plans don't go the way you want. If this were to happen, we could be looking for the first corrective move to the upside to around 174. So it's really not much different than our original $167,000 target. But as always, you know, the biggest thing to focus on here was that we never saw 5 waves within the first leg down, okay? The next thing I would like to do is go over to our lower time frames and take a peek here on Bitcoin. All right, so the reason we have stayed bullish this whole time is that because we only really had 2 local counts within our first leg down. Now you're going to see all over the internet people telling you this was 5 waves down in a wave 1 or a wave A. I think they are wrong. I even had a debate with someone on Twitter, after which the lady decided to ban everybody and block everybody that tried to confront her. She said that the top was in for Bitcoin, all-time high was in. She said this was wave 1 into 2. She said this was another wave 1 into 2. I think it's hilarious because at the time that she was claiming this was the time that we were screaming long, long, long in our community and in our live streams. So I think it's hilarious when these people have 30,000 followers but don't know their asshole from a hole in the ground. So in my opinion, my primary subwave count within this is going to be a WXY within an A wave, and now we're looking for a B wave to the upside. Now you're going to see a couple things on my chart. Let me go back to logarithmic scale here. You're going to see a couple things on my chart, okay? If this is a B wave to the upside, it's a 3-wave motion, right? So an A, B, and C. Now, the typical extensions that an ABC reaches to the upside was the 1 through 1.382, which was this yellow line. So the whole time in my Discord community, I've been chanting, hey, we're likely not done until around 126,700, right? So the very funny thing about this is we're holding up here at the 105, right? Taken from a high to a low using our fib retrace tool, okay? So I won't show you that again because you can already see the line on the chart. And the 105 is one of the very first things that we see typically hold up an expanded B wave retracement, okay? Come to the Discord community. I'll teach you all of this stuff so that you have all of these fibs for yourself. I also had an argument with another gentleman the other day on Twitter because he was saying this 1.618 at 136,000, but his mind was so small that he couldn't understand that I was talking about an extension on the local trend. So then he called me an idiot and blocked me also. I think these things are funny. This typically shows you when people, they have really no confidence in what they're even talking about. So if they're challenged at all, they go directly towards anger and blocking you and chastising you, which is great. I think it's great. Let them be that way. But we'll just go on and continue winning. Anyways, for now, extension-wise, this is my next target, around $126,707. $777 to be exact. I apologize. Now, if we had made, and I posted this count in the community yesterday, a local wave 4, right? So we were talking about, oh, maybe we were rejecting here. We were going to come down. Let's get this off here while we talk. And we had that as one of our micro possibilities last night. But you can see what happens here. We break that channel. You should also be paying attention to what anyone in my community that's been here for quite some time knows. We were watching the bull control zone. So on the hourly, you held the 50 EMA in the 50 RSI value like a champion in support, right? So of course you got another high. Now, for right now, I want us all to be slightly cautious as this can be a 3-wave motion, and then you could still get this next low, right? So let's not rule that out. Does that make sense? So for now, I'm open to this being a local ABC within a wave 4 still, but at a certain point, we will have to admit there's more upside on the table, and I want to show you how you will know that. Now, this applies to the micro and to the macro plan that we've already talked about. So if we apply a retrace fib from high to low, let's turn on that new style template that I could teach you in the Discord community. The most common B wave retracement is 1.236 through 1.382. Now that's us talking a fib retracement. Now, if at any point in time Bitcoin smashes out $127,909, this is no longer a B wave waiting for a C wave. This was the resumption of the bullish trend, okay? So that's your line in the sand to be watching for. Let's get this off of here for now. And we also talked about, hey, if the low happened to be in here, micro-wise, how would we find that next fifth wave within C? Well, that was an extension. Get this all fixed up again. That was an extension from 0 to 3 to the current 4. Now, I will have to say, if it continues up from here, I will be really surprised, right? I'm more open to a little bit more correction, but if it can pull it off, maybe we could see the next move up. That would take it to 133,000 at the 618, but I really, really want to be open to this, not only a psychological resistance at the 130 range, but also the 0.382 extension from 0 to 3 to current 4. Now, that comes in line with that expanded B retracement that we just talked about, except for on the macro, taken from the inception point to the lows of A to project the same 1.236 through 1.382, which is your most common area of interest in the expanded B wave. Now, if it can break the 1.382, happy days, we get a little bit more. But still, my target box really hasn't changed much. We're looking for that 130 before the pullback is given, right? Now, let's say I'm wrong, my count's wrong. This is going to be something more bullish than that off the lows. Let me move this. And we are not making an ABC towards the upside. And instead, you had some 1-2 stacking in here. And this is just how it gets going in a wave 1, 2, and you're waiting for a successive 3, 4, and 5. The thing about this is, until it hits a 1.618 taken from 0 to 1 to 2, you cannot consider wave 3, right? And then hard invalidation for this kind of bullish count would come if we ever saw wave 4 touch a wave 1. Another way we can typically find that is a retracement taken from the lows to the highs. Let's say it hits the 0.618. And you can see the 618, but that's far below the overlap of wave 1. So let's say this does get super bullish. It does get going. I would almost like to bet that in order to earn itself some more space between the wave 3 and the wave 1 high, it will get extended, meaning a lot of times it would move into an impulsive third wave that would kind of give you a little bit of a blow off top. It would give you that extra push. If that were to occur, this is how you get a wave 4 that can still make a decent pullback, but still have enough room to come down and not overlap with invalidation, okay? So those are basically my local counts, but I would say for you, for the trader, for somebody who's asking, like, how does this apply to me? It applies to you because we don't think the top is in for Bitcoin, right? We do not think the cycle top is in, or at least that's my bias that I'm going to go with, okay? So that's everything over Bitcoin, guys. If you have any questions over Bitcoin, please go ahead and get those in the chat. I would love to hear your questions or your targets over Bitcoin. Also, my cycle target for Bitcoin is going to be around 167 to 174,000, depending on how the mathematics play out, right? So the important part is watching those mathematics. All right. Looks like we've had a couple other people come in. What is up, Doggo Parma? Hope you're doing well. Dineske, what's up, my man? Nameless, good to see you again. I always love like your classic handshake when you pop in. Millsy and the Roar team are here. What is up, my dude? All right, so let's put TRWA down on our list just to check it out, because Dubai Fitness, I do think if if you can confirm or deny, maybe the royal family's part of it, maybe they're not, maybe it's all bullshit. But let's look at the chart and see what we can see. All right, the other chart request we got after that is DMTR. I'll come back and check the chat again soon to see if we have any other requests. But so far, the only requests I have is Ethereum, Link, HASHAI, PAI, AVAX, NEAR, TRWA, and DMTR. If you have other chart requests, questions, or even just what country you're from, dude, always share it in the chats. I love chatting with you guys. So let's move on to Ethereum while I wait for some more chart requests to come in. Let me get a sip of my coffee too, man. All right. Anybody who's been following me for a little bit knows that I have a whole YouTube short over this. There should have been no reason anybody missed this play, okay? You were handed the support here back to 3,800. I told you that the support accumulation zone for Ethereum was 38 to 3,500 with invalidation at 3,200. So this was all given to you. What's up, Dr. T? How are you, my man? So you knew this, right? You knew this was coming. You should have been more positive when you saw your orders not getting hit down lower, and you should have rotated them upwards to start looking for our would-be targets to the upside. All right, so let's adjust this slightly to get a little more perfect. All right, so our very first target for Ethereum is going to come in around that 5,100, 5,200 area. That's also your expanded B wave retracement taken from the high of A. Let's get it right to the low of the B, to the C in a three-wave pullback. The beauty of this three-wave pullback, and what I pointed out to everybody in my Discord community so that they knew to buy on time, unlike most people who are not members, is the hidden bull divergence. Outside of the hidden bull divergence, we also have what, gang? A three-wave motion that ends on high selling volume. This is how we likely knew the low was in for Ethereum. Regardless of that, you also had a three-wave motion with the last motion of the three-wave motion being made in a five-wave fashion ending on high volume. That's how you knew it was a C. After which, dudes, we have a retrace fib from the high to the low. Yes, that's my points of connection. And a regular retracement. After what do we see here? Pin bar, tail bar support off a 0.236. We then attack our next great area of interest, 618 to 702. Ethereum is about to roll the 786 probability shift point and hand probabilities to the bulls to take the highs. In my honest opinion, this is my wave 5 target for Ethereum for now, unless you have a blow off top. Now, let's say to yourself, I missed this. What do I do now, Surf? What I would do is get a generalized trend line on my RSI resistance. Now that we've broken through that RSI trend resistance, I would really like to somewhat see a back test and continuation. At that point, it's likely that we will have a regular bear divergence by making higher closures on price action, but not on the RSI. And if we're lucky, not on the volume, unless we see an extended fifth in which they will push it up on high volume. We'll see the RSI push up. We'll see all these things push up. Okay. All right. Let me make sure I got everything for you here. I feel like I've talked about everything I generally needed to talk about on Ethereum. I hope that is helpful for you all. As always, I break down the micro stuff a little bit better in the Discord. I have time to update it. I'm also there trading more often. So if you're missing any of these updates, it's because you are not in the Discord. All right, it's that simple. I'm sure there's people here in the Discord, in the chat right now. They could share their opinions about the community and about the kind of things that we do there. So that's Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let me write down FARTBOY for you, Dubai Fitness. Thanks for that. We have not looked at that since the last stream. We do analyze FARTBOY just about every day in the Discord community, so come on by and see what that's like. There's a lot of micro plays that we share. I think over the weekend we had some amazing SUI longs. Made good money on that. So we're always making plays, even on the weekends and holidays. When your favorite YouTuber's shitting on you and not helping you out with anything, just remember, Papa Surf's always here. I'm always on duty. All right, guys. So this is what we were looking for on Chainlink. Was a possibility of an ABC to the downside. What we were tracking here was a possible leading diagonal in the 5, made in an all 3-wave fashion, and then continuation towards the upside in a B in a 3-wave motion, in the wave 1 into a 2 of C, 3, 4, and 5 of C. This was a beautiful motion towards the downside. What do we note here on our volume again, gang? Ends on high volume. Yes, a C wave, a corrective motion ending on high volume. So again, this is how everyone in my Discord knew, hey, we're not looking for another low. We need to take any orders we had down here and flip them up and start buying into the 3-wave pullbacks, because we're looking for a breakout with displacement to at least our technical target of our inverse head and shoulders, and honestly to take the highs. Okay, so we were all plotting this inverse head and shoulders here. You can see it pretty fucking clearly. When we pulled back to support, I told everybody in validation's right shoulder, get ready. This is where I was accumulating, right? Every time Chainlink has pulled back, the members of the community have capitalized on this. I think it has been nothing short of incredible. So let's go look at our macro picture for Chainlink here. We have nice, easy, clear and validation, right? This has all been shared with you quite some time ago. Another thing that I want you to see here on your chart is Aunt Judy's booty right here, right? A little W bottom in the chart where we come back for a back test, and we come back and back test the center line of the base channel before making an accelerated move towards the upside. Now, for now, I'm going to show you this micro plan that starts from just right here, okay? So this is your innermost wave 1 into 2. Its wave 3 target is around $41. Let me get this guy up here. And its wave 5 target is around $61, okay? Now, that's a really good move just from this inner leg, right? Because of the 1-2 stacking that we're looking at. And this is what most traders are going to miss on Chainlink, is the potential for this 1-2 stacking. Now, if you need yourself an example of how this plays out in real time, I urge you, let me go over to my, that's why it looked like shit, eh? Let's move this down before we fix it. I urge you to go look at Solana, and we'll do that really quickly so that you can see how 1-2 stacking plays out to the upside and how most traders will get left behind in this, okay? All right, so in my opinion, this wave 3 should, and should is the key word here, should give it a good run to get up to around that 60 to 75 range, if not more. I do think in the end our cycle target is around $80 to $100 Chainlink, meaning a 3-figure Chainlink. And that's due to the 1-2 stacking down here. Now, I understand this is cluttered and hard to maybe see what's going on here. But what we're staying focused on is easy, simple invalidation that's close. Excuse me. With risk measured with good moves to the upside, right? So all we're going to continue to look for is moving out of this base channel, especially after holding that center line support. And let's get to those big gains on Chainlink. But I think overall, macro for Chainlink, 1-2 stacking, looking for $80 to $100 on that. All right, let's go look at HASHAI. HASHAI. It's funny, I've been calling it HASHAI. Silly. All right, let's go check it. Peak. I maybe not have checked this for you since our last stream. Let's go back to logarithmic for a second. I really like working my way from the macro to the micro. The thing that I wanted you to notice here is this is a 3-wave motion. and then a really long grind and a correction. Now, with this not really having a direction in the trend, right? It's hard to say for sure what this data will do next. But what I would do is use a new style fib template. If employing my strategies, I would not want to see this 0.236 lost, okay? And then I would look to reattack the golden pocket to 702. See, can the bears get knocked out when we shift probability, and go for the most common area of retracement, right? Now, the problem with this coin is that it starts in a 3-wave motion and then a pullback, and likely a 5 was given, okay? This is 3 waves to the downside, which lets us know more than likely this high will get taken, okay? The thing I want you to notice about this high is what? Bullish order flow on those green wicks. Bullish order flow on the green wick. Bullish order flow on the green wick. What that typically means to you is that we will, probability-wise, go back and take that liquidity. Now, on a 3-day, my friend, this chart is going to be closing in 5 hours and 31 minutes, which is amazing for you. So what you want to see is the 3-day candle be built off there as invalidation. And then you could start to plot or move to the upside, which in my opinion will be in a corrective nature, meaning 1 through 1.382, looking for around 0.1640 to 0.25700. I don't think it'll reach the most common area of retracement of the expansion. I would say this 105 might knock you out of the game here. But overall, I do think you can form yourself a good bias here with this as local invalidation for your play, right? So what that does is, anytime we're looking for positions, we're trying to measure, this is going to be a pain in the ass as always because TradingView can't figure out how to fucking fix this, is measure the risk versus the reward, okay? So if you can tell yourself, hey, if I put $100 in the machine, am I willing to lose $22 on every 100 to try to go for my first target? So that's an 18.5 risk to reward ratio. So you're willing to make 400% to risk 20, okay? So it's a 4x on your $100 to risk $20. Now that doesn't mean we put the whole fucking farm into this. It's just a portion of our portfolio on a 3-day would be allotted to this move. Now I would say, to give you an estimation in time, if we measure from point 0 to the high to the low, we're looking for an estimation of this target around 18th of November. Now, anyone who's been with me a little bit knows that I plan my vacations based around, I would say, the seasonality of the markets. So this aligns well with a move in November and my vacation in November. So I would say let's look for that Dubai Fitness here on HASHAI. But let's go to a little bit lower of a time frame and see if we can see anything that we can really pick out that we can start to work with. So let's delete everything because we're not plebs. We're good enough. We know how to draw. All right. So as you can see here, nothing off these lows is, an impulse yet, right? So far that's our lowest low here, 2429. Let me check these guys. All right, so that was our actual low. So if we go off that as a low, you can see how this whole thing can be corrective, and this could have been a 5-wave motion up. So my largest concern would be that we haven't established a low, and the fact is that this could be a 3-wave motion, and then you make another 3-wave motion, and maybe that's a 1 into 2, and we can start a diagonal. But even then, I would want to see another 3-wave motion, and another 3-wave motion, and another 3-wave motion. This is when all the plebs will finally see the inverse head and shoulders and hanging Chad. They'll scream to the walls. They'll buy a shit ton, but they'll just be exit liquidity so you in the know can get the fuck out. After which, we would look for this to take a nice 3-wave pullback. Now, as a trader, this is where I would look to buy. I would have 2 areas of interest. One would be the probable wave 4, and one would be the probable wave 2. The reason why is because in a diagonal, if it's all made in 3 waves to the upside, it gives us no real entry until the wave 4. And at that point, we could add a lot of probability for the move to the upside. Nice, Dubai Fitness. That's a really, really safe way to trade. I like to hear that, man. So in my opinion, on HASHAI, let's keep this on the radar. Maybe this is something I'll just run up in the Discord during our dailies. But until we get this formation or either this wave 4 low, I have no interest till those 2 spots, just in case, just to cut my risk. Okay, let me know if you have any questions, Dubai Fitness, and we will cover them. So parallel AI is the next one. All right, so you can see this is a little bit better of a move, but as always, let's start at the larger macro bias. How cool was that? So this is something we looked at quite a long time ago in the Discord community. As you can see, it was 3 waves up and 3 waves down and 5 waves up. It shafted a lot of people and then dumped afterwards. As soon as it lost this 1.382 taken from high to low to high, this is how you knew the cycle top was in or the top of that move was in, okay? All right, so let's delete everything. And what I want you to see is just here on a daily, I think it's going to be hypercritical to understand that this is likely a 3-wave motion, okay? Meaning that the most probable thing for that to be is just a simple corrective motion toward the upside and an A. This is 5, 3, 5 likely, and a B, and this is a C wave to the 1-to-1. Now, because this got slightly bigger, meaning that this primary leg, and I'll use a regular line to show you this, this primary leg is X percentage size, and then we make another leg, right? Now, if the second leg is larger, which this one is, it reduces the probability where you get to say 1 into 2 and 1 into 2, and now it's going to take off, right? Now, those are the 2 scenarios to look for, is the 1, 2, 1, 2, or as much as I don't want to admit this is my primary, is an ABC, okay? We will have to give the bulls the bears the ABC as soon as invalidation is hit, and that simply comes by taking out the low and what would have been your 1-2 stacking. The other thing that kind of starts to screw you is when we put support from that pivot low to the pivot high, we can see that you've already hit the 888 retracement, i.e., in words of Elliott wave, a 90% retracement, meaning that anything toward the upside is likely corrective, meaning this, and then it will put in a new low, likely at that point to take this external liquidity and move into the internal liquidity left behind, if not give it a better push to sweep the lows. And the reason why I side with that is because this is a 3-wave motion to start something. It's never impulsive. It's likely best case scenario corrective. So just be aware of that. Let me check my volume here. So it did not end on high volume, which is your saving grace. But I would say an ABC is likely my most probable thing for that. All right, so that's PAI, parallel AI. Let me know if you have any questions over that, Dubai Fitness. And let's move into AVAX. When we talk about AVAX, I really like to talk about it on a macro because I think that that is where our bias should come from, okay? If anybody's here that's from the community, they know this was what I bought my last bag of AVAX, was $27.73. So right in here. We shared that in the community as always. You can see a back test of old resistance as support and a possible 3-wave motion. Now we've been talking. You can see these are my drawings from the community. I don't come with shit preloaded for you. The reason why we're excited on this one here is because of this possible arcing that we're seeing to the upside. So I'm counting this as 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 stacking. Now, it is very difficult. It is getting very messy. But the thing that I want you to stay fixated on as a trader is this 658% move that occurred from low to high of a possible A wave, after which you get a 3-wave pullback that was beautiful to a B wave that was in a 5-wave motion. This was a great setup to get in on. And we've been buying this arc up in the dips, right? So AVAX has been going really well for the team. I think even some of our members reference it as a stable coin for them because it's something that we've been able to just buy and ride out the dips, not really get hit too hard. So, all right, let's zoom out here, go to linear, and let's talk about our targets to the upside. Now, anytime we talk targets, we talk our very first 3-wave motion targets, right? We don't get bullish. We don't got none of that bullish shit in us. This takes us to the most probable target, which is to break the highs of A in a regular style flat and go to $71. Now, that can push as high as the 1.382 and still be a corrective motion. And that takes you to around the $93 mark. The other thing to consider, and something that we often see, is that we do actually begin to form an impulsive move off of the lows. Now, C waves, when extended, can push to the 1.618, like we talked about on our macro Bitcoin scenario, right? So, and we saw this on FARTBOY also. But be aware that the C leg likes to get extended. It likes to bait you in so that you can be someone's exit liquidity, right? Don't be that. Don't be the fucking exit liquidity. You're better than that, right? So if we're lucky, you know, we get a C wave that looks like this. But the thing that I want to urge you to understand is just like we looked at on our Bitcoin count, and Solana was a good reference from this that we haven't checked yet. But if this is 1-2 stacking, right? Now you're looking for 3 into 4, 3 into 4, 3 into 4, and then a final fifth. If you get something like that, that's an A, that's a B, and that's a C wave, and the shop is over. And whether it pulls back in 3 to give another high, or it pulls back in 3 and begins to break down hard, doesn't really matter, because our main thing is that we're DCAing out after we see the triple stacking and we start to move up, which is amazing because we got the same exact setup on Bitcoin, right? It gave us that opportunity to long, right? So that's why myself and the team have been long since $110,270, because it provided that setup of 1-2 stacking off the lows, right? All right, let me go read the chat here. Bop, bop, bop. Yeah, we did, Addy. We got some really good buys in on that, dude. As always, guys, share this stream with your friends if you enjoy it. Let's get some more people in here, right? Let's keep the party going. All right, so we're running out of chart requests here. Be aware of that. So we'll move into near as our next one. Dubai Fitness said for something like Parallel AI, it's around 10 million market cap. I was thinking 100 to 200 million is easily on the cards, but I guess you can't predict that from the chart. So we can't predict. I don't chart in market cap, I chart in price action. And I can only give you what is the mathematics of those moves. Now, if at any point we continue to work together on these charts, Dubai Fitness, as the math progresses, that's something I do in the Discord where I'm telling people, no, our roadmap is changing. We're actually going to do X, Y, and Z. We're not looking for lower. We're looking for higher. We're looking to move our buys from down low. We're looking to roll those up and just get into the trend as we march. I keep that way more updated, okay? Yeah, let me write it down. Does that say CREPE? You're shitting me. There's a cryptocurrency named fucking CREPE now. I have seen it all. I thought FARTBOY was going to be the one that blew my mind that we were seeing. All right. So AVAX is a good one. We're looking for very bullish targets from AVAX. So go back, watch that if you're just new coming in. If you're new coming in, please put any chart requests that you might have into the chats so we don't run out of fuel to keep the machine going. And I would love to hear you guys' opinions or even your highest conviction plays for the year so that we can break them down and go through it together. All right, so I don't know if this is the oldest chart for this, but the only bright side that you can see here is bullish order flow on these highs, okay? If you're lucky with a chart with such limited data, the best thing that you can do is just ranges of retracements from a high to a low. Get it as close as we can. Let's slap that new style that we've been using. Now, until this can get over the 0.236 that we referenced earlier, we likely will not see the displacement, right? So what I want you to be aware of is rising patterns in some sort of a wedging or ascending channel. Like these aren't the most strong things to be looking for when they're doing this, okay? A lot of times when I get that, I begin to look for that one deep cut, right? And this to turn into some sort of diagonal. Now, what I will tell you is that I do like that this was formed in a three-wave motion, right? I do like that that was three-wave corrective, making it highly likely to take those highs at some point. I would say this is your greatest magnet and area of interest. It's going to be the 618 through the 702 on TRWA or THARWA, I don't know how to say it, and that is TRWA, followed up by the expansive targets of 1.236 through 1.382. Now, for that to even occur, the bulls will need to crack out the bearish probability shift point of the 786 around 0.0222147. Now, when we look at this from a risk to reward standpoint, I would rather buy in a pullback, right? So me personally, I would look for some liquidity to get taken around 0.07561 before that successive move up into this pocket, right? So that's a 152% move with easy invalidation, 22% down. This is somewhat like the HASHAI setup that we looked at, sir. Dubai Fitness. So our first area of interest gives us around 150% target. But if we make it as high as our secondary, that gives us 3 to 4x on this project. So I do think it has the potential, right? But we really need this to be the beginning of something in a very tight, ugly wedging pattern that then tricks the shit out of everybody with a deep pullback, right? So I would look for entries around 0.07561. But we'll go from there. If I see something else on the micro that pops up, I'll definitely let you guys know in the Discord so that you could get into the moves early. Just like we did on SUI over the weekend, right? We fucking annihilated SUI this weekend in some trading, so that was really fun. All right, so don't worry about all the stuff on there. If you guys want to see SUI, we can review that later, but that was TRWA. The next thing someone asked for is DMTR. And again, guys, if you've got charts, go ahead and get them in the chat. I've only got 2 more chart requests left. So far, the ones remaining is DMTR, FARTBOY, and CREPE. So if you have a chart request, do get it in. And I appreciate all those likes, by the way. 19 likes is huge, man. I truly, truly appreciate you all coming today. I really, really enjoyed doing these live streams. It's something that we do every single Monday around 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I urge you to come by and have a good time. All right, so we're starting to interact with our retracements, but let's look at our DMTR macro retracement to see why that may be. Now, you hear me sigh before this one because this is not my favorite chart. The reason why is because the move down in 3 is then the high taken in 3 and then the low taken in 3, right? A WXY of this size and magnitude with as long as it took to make in comparison to how long it took to make just the 5-wave motion up in A, makes it highly probable on DMTR that this is just a B wave. Now, this is one that I already have updated in the Discord community. So if you need more in-depth explanations on it, do go there. For right now, it is doing something for me that is very low probability, but it's really the only way I can count it. And that is a truncated move here, meaning that this is current invalidation for DMTR around 0.0113. And you would be looking for the most probable target is to take those highs, right? And move up to 0.37 through to 148. I apologize. Now, please don't go crazy over this. Let's delete everything. When charts are like this, it is a low probability that it works out, right? This is something that you're giving very little money to, but trying to make a good bid off of, right? So what we're looking for, and you can already see, is the 0.236 to continue to be that support that it needs to be and move to the upside. I skipped near. Good job, Addy. Let me put a star on that, and we will go back and do that again. I apologize. Really, really apologize. All right, so let me double check this math here before we go too much further. We want to check it for an expansion. So we did not hit 1.618 of the expanded B wave retracement, right? And that expanded B wave is taken from the highs of the move to the lows of the move. And we're looking for a 3-wave motion that most typically finds resistance around 1.236 to 1.382 and does not hit the 1.618 per Elliott wave, Frost, and Prechter. There are other sources that quote that it is the 2-line retracement that does that. But for now, I'm going to go with the 1.618 because I trust that book a whole awful lot. Now, what I would like to do is pair up our retracements with our potential extensions on this motion towards the upside. And that does align that golden pocket really well with a 3-swing extension on this. So I think risk to reward wise, DMTR is not horrible, but due to this local hiccup here, I'm really nervous that it could make one more move down, right? So I don't own any DMTR, so I would wait for one of two things. One is a move to the lower liquidity. Let me get this. Which could be just a quick wick and then go. Or 2 is to begin to form reversal structures here. Now to see that, we would really have to go to a daily. And again, this is me admitting that the move is starting off a low that typically isn't a real low that we see, right? And by that I mean when we were zoomed out, we were talking about it being a truncation. Now, until this can give a 5-wave motion towards the upside, meaning we likely get one more high and then a larger pullback, I'm not super interested, right? Because what I would rather see is this be a wave 4 and a 3-wave motion, get one more high. At that point, you would have divergence on your closures, right? Because your RSI would come up and give a regular bear divergence, meaning higher closures on price action, but not on RSI. And then I would look for that big 3-wave pullback for my opportunity. You can also see this is where the bulk of the volume of your move was at. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't come back there, okay? Even if this is some sort of 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, and then a final 5th. Either way, we're looking for that bigger pullback. So in my opinion, I either let it go for one more and then buy, or it gives me that 3-wave motion and then I buy. Now, all I'm going to be doing with something like this is a retracement fib from low to high. And I'm just going to be watching it with an alarm set in that same area we just talked about, right? And you can check your fixed range volume profile from the move up from low to high and see, hey, where's the bulk of my move within this at? Where's the bulk of the volume within my move? Boom, 618, 702 golden pocket, right? So how am I not excited for that? So I would just stay mellow, hold my cards, and see, can I get a little bit of a pullback to here before we try to go for those macro targets. Now, if it is able to give me a pullback there and then we go, that's fucking great, because likely you'll have a 1-2 here and then start to form that successive move up. All right. Nice. It's a great, the book is on the Discord. Yep, we have the digital copies of all these books in the Discord. They're super helpful. Always having, as for me, I like to have the physical copy because I study when I'm on the road a lot or driving around or something. But that was DMTR. All right, let's go check the chat, see if there's any other charts popping up. Of course, we got a shit ton now. Thank you, guys. All right, let's finish FARTBOY and CREPE, and then I will go get the rest of the charts from you guys. Get another sip of coffee because I'm starting to lose my edge here. Where is FARTBOY? All right, my guys. This is from the micro that we put in the Discord. This has not been updated on Twitter. This is not something I talk about with everybody. All right. So what we're seeing here is we're waiting for this move to top out and look for a pullback. Yes. So if this wants to be the move, why did I highlight that we have lower lows and higher closures? That's a regular bullish divergence, right? It's present on the 4-hour. You can see it here. Lower closures and higher closures. Lower closures on price action, higher closures on RSI. And what else do we see on the RSI? We see what? An Aunt Judy's booty here. A little W bottom. She's beautiful. Aunt Judy's got a nice booty. We see it often. The other thing that I want you to notice about Aunt Judy's booty, let's go back, is that you have local regular bullish divergence on her booty also, meaning lower closures on price action, but not on RSI. So Aunt Judy was letting you know, we're going to get our groove on. It's coming, okay? Now, we've already covered our macro and stuff like that on FARTBOY, but because I get a lot of questions about FARTBOY, I really think, let's dive into this. So, if this was an WXY 333 formation, meaning 3 in W, 3 in X, and 3 in Y, like I very perfectly and specifically told you on Twitter and on YouTube and in every live stream you come to, even a video short, I made you a YouTube video short over this, then if you are lucky, that is a move within an A, meaning that we're looking for a correction in a 3-wave motion that takes a minimum time of 0.382 to finish, right? And everyone in my Discord community knows, bang, that landed us in the middle of October. I really have no interest in buying FARTBOY until I see that. Now, what I would like to see is this become an A, give a B. I don't care. It can even make a new all-time or a new local high in the B wave, but then I plan for a successive C wave to the downside to come back into the internal fair value gap left behind and sweep external liquidity and come down to around 0.02349. At that point, you could get me to be a buyer on FARTBOY again. And the reason why is because I would be looking to chain my moves together. So I'd have an A, we would get our 3-wave B, likely to liquidity, and then a successive C wave. Now, this is very, very far down the road, so we can't talk about it yet. Until we see what this leg is, I cannot give you a whole lot of mathematics for after that, okay? Now, we can talk about a common B wave retracement here, coming to the golden pocket area, but I cannot give you exacts until I see what the local 3-wave motion does, right? So in my opinion, more than likely this is going to give a B wave that might come to around 88 or 90% of the move before giving this successive C leg to the downside before we can plan for this. Now, the reason why I think the market maker is going to want to give you this is because every asshole will tell you as soon as they see this 5 waves that I'm wrong, that this was a wave 1 and this was a wave 2 and holy shit, this is a wave 3 and FARTBOY has put in the lows and it's going to $1 billion, right? I'm not that guy. I'll never be that guy for you. So if you don't like that, move the fuck on. Personally, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm going to stay fixated on the local mathematic probable scenarios versus hope and bullshit, okay? There's no smoke and mirrors here, and if you don't like it, I'm not the guy for you. So in my opinion, let's stay focused on this, and let's see what we can do about if we are forming divergences, if we're forming local counts, if we are not moving in an impulsive manner, because we likely wouldn't, because it was formed in a three-wave motion off the lows, right? All we could give ourselves, motherfucker, I didn't click the tool, is the possibility of a three-wave motion, right? So this would be 0 to A to probable B to predict a C wave. Now, like I've talked to you about multiple times, a C wave can come as high as 1.618, but most common is 1 through 1.382. This is how FARTBOY still attacks 10 cents. Now, I want to tell you, motherfucking everybody and their cousin is going to be buying FARTBOY when it gets to 10 cents, which is perfect for me because they'll be my exit liquidity, okay? I would be 75% out of FARTBOY by the time it reached here with a hope that my last 25% made it to the 1.618, and then I would wait for the blood, right? And whether that blood comes in a three-way motion for another opportunity or the blood gives me new lows, I don't give a fuck. I would be selling off into those highs because this is the world's clearest three-wave motion. So anyone on the internet who's telling you that it's not doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. Or you're likely following some genius who barely knows anything about Elliott wave because half the time their counts are wrong. I too watch their YouTube videos just for a good laugh, right? And I know this sounds bad and overly confident, but I stand very confident in the things that I'm talking about. So on that one, that's what I'm looking for. All right, holy fucking hideousness. Oh, wow. So on a chart like this, I'm not going to be able to give you much on CREPE, my dude, so I'm not going to try to analyze anything with a chart like that. So I will move on, and let's go flip back to the chat and see what other charts you guys got here. Oh, let's do near really quickly before I forget about that for you guys. Excuse me. Now, I think that near is rather comical because this is our entry on near. This is literally a setup that was given to you in a YouTube live stream, okay? So you have no one to blame but yourself if you did not take part in this. All right, so now that we've made this motion from the lows, to me it looks like an impulsive retracement is beginning, right? So in order to protect my position, I'm going to move my stop loss up to those lows, right? And I'm just going to hold my spot because overall what I'm looking for, let's get rid of some of the math here on the screen. I hope this helped for you guys. I try to really share all my strategies, all my mathematics, because I'm not here to bullshit you, right? I want to see us all win. And in order for us all to win, I have to be crystal clear. I have to be so clear. I'm not hiding anything from you. I'm not blowing hope up you. I'm not trying to sell off to you. I'm a nobody in this game, right? I do this because I care. I come every fucking day to these streams in my Discord, whether it's holiday weekends, I'm sick, my internet's out, I still show up because I care that fucking much. Okay? All right, let's slow down and leave my emotions for just a moment. Because of the 1-2 stacking on this, I am looking for an impulsive extension on this. My true first target for this inner golden count is around $4.76 with a final push to around $6. Now, we have a probable 5-wave motion off the lows that we cannot ignore, okay? And that used to be our local invalidation. But now we're going to get to move that up, okay? Because we've had what? Another 1-2 stacking. So that completely changes the roadmap that we were looking for, right? So even if I'm wrong, and this is 5 waves in an A, and 3 waves pull back in a B, and now we're moving up in a C, minimum's 1 through 1.382 with the likelihood of an extension, right? So minimum I get here. Great. That's fine by me. These are great targets, right? So you are really set up here. This is a good setup to be watching for on near. We're still bullish. I think worst case scenario is that you give a little bit of a local pullback. But I think 276 down to 268 is nothing but opportunity on near. And from there, I would look for a nice, strong displacing move and something like this so that this becomes a 1 into 2. And then we have 5 waves within 3. And at that point, you would have a 1 into 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you get a 5-wave motion that comes to the 1.618, the best thing to do is begin to analyze for divergences, meaning higher closures on price action, while at the same time getting this oscillation with lower highs on the would-be RSI. If that occurs, we're likely seeing that C wave high. Now, whether that's a C wave high or a wave 3 high, it doesn't fucking matter because you're looking for a 3-wave pullback that matches something like this in time and size. Now, when I look for that, this near doesn't give a fuck about me. So why would I give near a loan and say, hey, do you want a free loan on my money because you've always been so kind to me? No, that's not how investing works, right? So likely when that wave 3 comes in, why would I sit through this? Why? Fuck that. Take your money, get paid, move it to another project during the time in which this fucking million-day correction goes on. I can be out searching for more projects, 42 days, right? I'm not going to wait a 42-day correction. I'm going to take my money out of the project, at least 50, 60%, and I'm going to move it to other projects and make more fucking money because that's what we do, right? All right. It looks like Bitcoin just charged up to our target that we were looking for nearly. We were looking for 126,700. We got 126,338 so far, my dudes. I don't know if you guys are as excited as I am, but I am very excited to get to be part of this all with you guys. It's been a hell of a journey. I've loved every minute of it. I truly, truly am humbled for the experience to get to do all this with you guys. All right, so that was near. Let's go back through the chats and see what else we got. I think I might have missed a couple coins. All right, so we did CREPE. I love crepes, dude. Me too, Eddie. You guys should try a new one. It's called Bing or Bing King. Look that up. And they make what is like a crepe, but the outside of the crepe is like thin flour with eggs and cilantro and mung bean and all kinds of stuff. And it's absolutely delicious. All right, Nameless, we got some charts from you, my dude. Are you still here, Nameless Monster? It looks like you want me to analyze ASTER and METAFOX. So we're going to have to cross over to a deck screener to do that. We haven't looked at METAFOX in quite some time, sir, but we'll definitely get that done for you. Thank you all for so many likes today. This has been an amazing stream. The next asset that you guys wanted looked at after that is FET, which we've been taking a lot of plays on in the Discord. So if you're not in there, you are missing out on making some money. All right, the other ones we have are Zig and Woo for Dr. T. Hope you're still here, Dr. T. I hope you're doing well, my dude. Hopefully your family's growing and doing well still. Hopefully you get some free time to yourself soon. All right, the next one is going to be Anyone. You said that's a privacy coin. That's good during these hard times. So let's get Anyone also analyzed for you. Great, great, great. All right, bop, bop, bop. Oh, Millsy left us. All right, well, who all do we still have in the house? Who's all still here? All right. Dubai Fitness said, I trust you, bro. I'm selling my fart boy on this little B wave up and buy back lower. We can only all do what we think is best, right? I will keep this B wave updated in the Discord community, but with the divergence, my guy, we are looking for that retracement, okay? And the other thing I want you to notice also, Dubai Fitness, is if you pull a retracement from high to low on the individual trend and use that new style setup that we've talked about, you should notice what? You flip the 0.236, making it probable that's a pivot for now until we get to what? Our magnet zone, 618702. Then we see how we handle that most probable bearish rejection. Now, if before this point in time you're seeing something that looks like a three-wave motion, great, we will plan on that rejection. But if we're hard charging and then we get a rejection, plan on that extending to the next area of interest, okay? But I'll try to keep all that updated in the Discord. People ask about FARTBOY nearly every day in the live streams. And I love doing the project, dude. I truly, truly love charting this project. I have a lot of fun charting FARTBOY. All right, so let's move on to ASTER. Let's go find that really quick. We had a really good short on ASTER. Excuse me. Excuse me. Woo. All right. Excuse me. We fell just short of our target box. Sorry, guys. Got a little cough here. I was visiting my man Tommy Chong for a second. Little Snoop Dogg moment happened here. But in my opinion, this is not anything but a corrective motion towards the downside. We shorted it. We unfortunately had to close a little bit higher up than I wanted. I would have actually liked to touch the target box, but we didn't get it. That shit happens, right? You're not going to win them all. Now what we need to focus on is, with this being a three-wave motion, what does that mean for us? We expect at some point to take that high, right? Especially since the high ended on green candle or blue candle bullish order flow. Same thing with this high, right? Same thing with this high. These are external liquidity with bullish order flow. You love that cough. Yeah, man. Without that cough, I don't know if I would have the patience to manage myself in all of these trades. And I think it's funny because people say if you have mental health, you can't be a trader. I think if you have mental health issues, good on you. That means you know you do. So now that means you can work on it. So I think anyone can become a trader if you do the things, if you manage your emotions, if you learn real strategies so that you have conviction and confidence in the play that you're taking. All right, so let's zoom in here. Because to me, this is a hell of a motion off the lows. Now, this is something you're going to learn in the Elliott Wave book, is that no corrective motion typically gets past here, right? Especially if it's not an expanded correction, meaning a one that looks like this, goes up, takes its own lows, and then a successive high. Now, when we see those, we can say, hey, dude, this can even go as far as a 2.618, right? But its most common area of interest would be the 1.618. So, with it not being an expanded correction towards the upside, we should have never broken this, right? So this is where I think people in Elliott Wave will we have to start to kind of like speculate and grind our gear in here about what this could be. Now, another way you'll see a lot of people want to count these things is say, well, that's my low here. So let's check. I want to see, is this my low? Or is this my low? We have to actually make for certain here. That is a low of 150.72 and a low of 150.58. So this is your lowest low here, and then you begin to move up. So let's adjust our math to make sure we're good. We're going to go from low to high to low. Now, I'm going to have to side with 1, 2, 1, 2 stacking came into play. Likely this is a wave 3 into 4. Does it overlap? Oh, God, it does. So you have to change your counts a little bit. 3 into 4 and 3 into 4, even though the 3-4 stacking gets smaller, which is abnormal. And then a final 5th to the upside because of the extension that it reached. That's unfortunately what I have to side with. So if that is my low, what's another thing I should be checking? I'm just trying to think out loud here. Deceleration channel, broke out of the deceleration channel, back test it. Let's check that also. Deceleration channels are super important in corrections. Didn't quite back test it, but we did get a good breakout. Good center line hold. Okay. I'm just trying to find reasons that we should stack probability to trusting this move towards the upside. Since the count is not the prettiest chart. So we pull back to golden pocket. That's good. If all you did as a strategy was buy golden pockets on macro pullbacks, you would be a winner at least 33% of the time. So your low was in a 3-way fashion after 382, making it highly probable that's a wave 2 versus some sort of corrective motion. So what I would like to see then is this be a wave 1 into 2, or the worst part could be that this is an ongoing correction, but at no point would I want to see it lose $1.67. Okay? Now, the problem here is this, right? We haven't quite formed something impulsive off the lows. Best case scenario, it's 3 up, 3 down, 5 up. And that's my biggest concern, because if so, this is likely an A, a B, and then it gives a C still, okay? That's my largest concern. So on ASTER, I would want to wait on an hourly to see if I get this next leg of correction. And if I do, in my opinion, opportunity presents itself as soon as ASTER crosses under $1.73, right? With my ultimate area to buy being around $1.67. And then we go from there with hard invalidation for any more bullish scenarios locally if we lose the lows here. Okay? So that one's super simple. Now, if ASTER goes ahead and says, you know what, this is a 2 and I'm out. Great. We know exactly how to handle that scenario, right? And that's a retracement fib from a high to a low. And we begin to watch the reversal. Now, what are we seeing already? Rejections at the bearish rejection point. But what also do you notice? You make the 90% retracement from high to low, meaning it is more likely that we make a new high before a new low, okay? Now, this is something that I want to share with you because it's during an uptrend, okay? So this chart itself has a higher high and a higher low. We're waiting for that next higher high to see, can you keep making the steps for the bulls up? And if not, we'll figure out more when we get there. But the good news is if this were a wave 1 into a 2, that gives us super good mathematics from 0 to the highs of 1 to the lows of 2, to where we could finally start looking for displacement, back test, and final leg, right? And then you talk about, hey, do I stop here for a previous degree wave 4? This is likely it. Or do I sweep those liquidities and move into an internal fair value gap that was left behind on the inception wicks? But overall, I do think ASTER has some moves left in the tank. And with it being an uptrend, we always want to go around and measure from high to low. And as soon as you hit that 90% retracement, its likelihood to move to the 1.236 to 1.382 with a new high is super probable, right? So again, you take that same theory and apply it here from high to low, and we can see easily 90% or 888 was hit, making it more probable to move to 1.236 to 1.382, which also knocks out this dude's 80% retracement. The other thing that we should look at from a liquidity standpoint is the way that we've interacted with the liquidity left behind in the internal fair value gap. So at no point have you received closure or acceptance within the internal fair value gap, meaning no bodies have closed within it, but we've had plenty of bullish order flow at the inflection point, right? So let's see, can we make that next high? Okay, and that's ASTER. I know it's a lot to take in, and I'm giving you guys a lot of info, but that's why I like to do it in a live stream or via video format so that you guys can review this at your leisure whenever you want, because there's a ton of education within this. All right, guys, so the next chart that I have is METAFOX. We have to do that on a deck screener, so let's go over there. All right, so people that have been coming to these live streams for a little bit know that we kind of lost some hope in this guy because of the depth of retracements that starts to begin to be reached, right? On top of that, time and correction is far past 2 times the length that it took to build the motion towards the upside. For now, you know, what you do with this chart is up to you. But what I would like to do is stay on linear because I have to use extensions on a macro and I don't want to look like a jackass at the end of the day. So what I would do to help myself not look like a jackass is I would measure using a trend-based fib extension on linear from low to high to low. And I would say if you are lucky, and this is a big if until we see the lower time frames transition to bullish. And I'll show you what I mean by that here in a minute. If you are lucky, we get a C wave to 0.01133. If they're super lucky bulls, maybe they make it up to the 1.382. You can see that value on your screen. The other thing that I would do to give myself the probability shift point would be my fib retracement from the high to the low. And I really want to see that 0.236 get crossed over, right? So until let's get these zeros ready, folks. 3239 is crossed. We can't really talk about this making a bullish reversal, okay? So let's also go ahead and look at the lower time frames and see, have you got any sort of reversal points here yet, right? For now, I'm gonna side with no. All right. So let's look into this hourly and see what we can get into, because it kind of looks like it's trying to make a little swing pivot here. But we really need something more. This is fucking hideous when you take all that back like that. I bet this has a divergence on it. That is close. 77.44, 76.85. So no divergence here and no divergence going into the next high. So this could continue trying to push up. Not a whole lot of volume supporting the move, but one thing that I would like to point out to you is that here you can see the buyers are slowly picking up. Even their overall average picked up, okay? And even made kind of a little contact here. So this is a good thing. Now, for me to see Fox make a mathematical probability shift point, I'm going to have to say from 0, you know, because of this being straight down, I'm actually going to change my count. I'm going to say 0. Maybe this is your wave 5 highs and an ABC and 2 as the lows. God, my dog is snoring so loud. I'm sorry, guys. I'll kick her out of here if it bothers anybody. She's such a snorer. She's a little English bulldog, and she has a little crushed up snout. Sounds like a fat lady sleeping next to you. So for me, I cannot consider mathematical probability that we've put in a low until MetaFox crosses not 1909. At that point, then we can talk about some sort of 1-2 stacking going on in here, because then we would likely see a success of 3 into 4 and a 3 into 4 and then a final fifth. But the thing about that is, my dudes, is that's likely an hourly time frame, right? And then you're still waiting for this. So buying this pullback with a known invalidation point and exits that are plotted out on the other side of the bridge is important, right? So we have to know where we're at. We know that there's a hole here or a pit full of fucking death sticks that we could fall into and die. And here's where we want to get to. This is my take profit, right? This is my entry. And then I need to understand my setup so well that I'm okay with getting across this risk standpoint to take profits here. If I can't chart all this out, I don't have a setup. I'm just a hopeful pleb looking to change my life through gambling. So let's see, can we get the hourly 1-2-1-2 into a 3-4-3-4-5 stacking and a macro pullback and an ABC? At that point, dude, you could get me to be a buyer of MetaFox. But until then, I'm going to stay risk off on this project and look to see how we build this up, okay? All right. Let's keep going. All right. So far, we got 20 likes, dude. Thank you guys so much. It means a ton. All right. So let's move back to a regular chart here. And the next chart request that we had here was on FET. CACU from our Discord is having issues typing in YouTube chat. Yep, tell him I'm doing FET right now for him. Also, I truly appreciate his membership and support. It means a lot. So let's get into FET. FET is something that we've kept updated fairly well in the Discord. Obviously, we missed a hair of price action back here. But let's talk about the macro first. On the macro, you can see this was our entry, right? So we're barely up profits on entry, but let's delete everything and know that our targets are still to the upside to around $1.16. Let's talk about the why. You could be bullish or not bullish, but what I mainly want to focus on in this live stream is the daily, okay? And on the daily, when we apply mathematics to this, from a low to a high to a low, we can see that the probability shift point of this becoming an impulsive motion, meaning that the low is in here, happened when price action flipped the 1.618 and made successive moves to new highs, right? So it makes at least 1.618, a shallow pullback, and then new highs, right? That's super important to understand because it means that it's probable that it was an impulse. Now, because of the way that the count's shaped up, I have to side with we have 1-2, 1-2 stacking here, into a likely 3-4, 3-4, into a 5. So let's put some labels on here to help understanding. And 5. After which we saw a 3-wave pullback. We took a high risk entry here for what I think might be a wrong count. But I'm not going to fight with it because it's working. Okay, so I'm thinking that we saw WXY in a possible triangle. The reason I wanted to side with this is because the motions within it all look like 3-wave motions. If anyone has a better count, please do let me know. I would love to discuss it. But the last thing and my main issue with this count is this weird expanded flatten E. It is a 3-wave motion, but I don't even know if it's legal here in E. So if someone knows, please let me know. I've been looking for it. I think it can be. But what I'm focusing on now is a little classic technical analysis. And for me, that would be areas of resistance as we were coming down kind of this falling wedge here, right? So for me, trend lines are just rough bullshit. This doesn't need to be perfect. You know, I'm not going to argue with somebody and say, oh, it needs to be here, it needs to be here. I don't really care. What I like the most about this is if we put our trend lines on as a triangle. The book says that we can get a little overthrow in E and sometimes substantial. So I'm okay with the overthrow. And I'm counting this as a wave 1 into a wave 2. And now starting to look for impulsivity towards the upside. The thing that I want to understand here on FET is where my invalidation is and where my take profits are and what's important for me to understand. So this, in my opinion, is my local invalidation around 51 cents. In my managing risk towards the upside is looking for 1 through 1.382 in the bearish case as an ABC towards the upside, right? Fucking almost clicked the triangle. All right, so if this is 5 waves in A and a long, scary fucking B wave that freaked people out, then we look for a C wave to a $1.16 to possible $1.41. Now, the next thing that's really going to help us with understanding where we're going here is a base channel from low to high on Fettuccine Alfredo, because this will give us center line reactions as well as gateway drug, right? These are our next areas of interest, in my opinion. In my opinion, you're looking for a 5-wave motion here that gets this going, right? I would love to see a back test here. Maybe you have a micro 5, then a back test, then a 3, then a 4, then a 5, and then get this pullback. But I think these larger 3 waves are opportunities. Your wave 4s are opportunities. The back test of the wedge here is going to be an opportunity. And I think at that point, you'll have a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in an ABC motion. If at any point it breaks $1.41, we'll further analyze this and start looking into wave 3s and 5s towards the upside. But for now, as you guys know me well, I'm not here to give you bullshit and hope. I'm here to give you realistic, objective TA, and that's why you're here, right? So let's keep jamming some more of that out. That's Fettuccine Alfredo, or FET AI. If you have any other questions, ask me and let's cover them. All right, another sip of coffee. It looks like we are down to 3 chart requests, guys. So if you have any other chart requests, please get them in. And let's keep the party going. The last 3 chart requests I have on file so far is Zig, Woo, and anyone. If anyone, that's funny, if anyone has any other chart requests, please get them in and let's keep going, guys. And if it's a coin that we haven't covered yet, we'll cover it again. Or we will cover it, and if it's one we've already covered, we'll cover it again. I really don't care. I have a couple gems that I'm going to give you guys, even if you don't ask for them. I will still cover them because no one's been watching the streams. So let's hide a couple really good gainers in here for them, yeah? All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next thing. We're going to analyze Zig. Zig coin, huh? All right, this looks like shit already. Oh, God. So this is not a chart that excites me at all. The reason why is because this is a range-bound piece of shit, right? I have no interest. I'm going to go from high to low on this. And I'm also going to put an idiot box on this, is what I like to call it. And really, you are an idiot if you get too tangled up in one like this. What I would say is the most probable thing to see here is if you see continued rejections at this 786 of the range, you are likely to come back to the 50% range of the idiot box and the 0.5 retracement. I would be very careful, right? Because that can be a sharp, quick motion. And then after that, maybe we go ahead and we move out of the idiot box and take the range liquidity of the highs. But the problem is you haven't even touched what would be the 50% liquidity of this bullish hammer wick that was left behind. You haven't touched any of this internal fair value gap left behind. And we're just sitting on all external liquidity here waiting to be swept. So this is a coin that's kind of coiled up and is going to make a move for liquidity at some point. And as someone who doesn't hold any, I would rather stay hands off and wait for that next move, especially with how choppy and three-wave fashion this is. So that's my opinion. I would just move on from that one. Woo, I don't look at anymore since fucking probably last cycle. It's a hideous piece of shit. I don't know why people waste their time on this. I know that sounds bad. I'm not shit talking your coin request. I'm just saying we can do better. Okay? This is great. Wham, you finally get a regular bullish divergence here on your RSI. Great. But until this forms a reversal, we don't give a shit. Okay? I literally, this kind of shit, just let it go. Just fucking let it go. My dog is just snoring up a storm. All right, so to me, this looks like a three-wave up, three-wave down, three-wave up, right, three-wave down. Nothing about it's making bullish reversals or some high probability setup. Best case scenario, you're getting some sort of A, and that's all a B, and then you finally come up for a C wave. I'm sure we have local liquidity. Yes, we do. We have an internal fair value gap here left behind. We'll label that up. In my opinion, I would say the most probable thing to see Woo do is make a three swing up into this corrective pocket and then face a decent rejection. Shit like this doesn't tickle my fancy. I really don't care for it. I don't get out of bed for shit like this. I don't buy it. There's really no reason to. We can do better than this. So I would look to see how we react up there. Yes, that is a decent reversal. Yes, there's profits to be made. But on Woo, you're going to need this to be 1-2 stacking. So let's say I want to take a position on Woo. This is how I would do it using my strategy. Would be, I need invalidation, right? Because we need that bridge. We know there's a fucking pit full of sharp sticks that wants to kill us if our stop loss is hit. So that's my stop loss. And I'm going to be looking for wave 1s into 2s toward the upside. So if it's going to go, it's irrelevant whether you place one here or one here. I really don't give a shit what you do with your free time. Place it wherever the hell you want. I'm going to say this is 1 into 2, 1 into 2, and this is looking for 3, 4, and 5. Right? So 1 into 2 again. You're looking for 3, 4, and 5. Let's make this other count fucking orange. Get rid of the RSI because it doesn't matter right now. Let's look for a bullish scenario here. From the innermost 1 into 2. Do you see what I mean? Whether you put the high here or the high here, mathematics barely change. So don't get all caught up crying in your office because you can't figure shit out. Just put this stuff on. Just move on, right? Just make moves. All right, so let's say we turn this. We go impulsive. Orange wave 3, orange wave 4. Orange, you happy? I didn't say banana. Then a wave 5 in orange makes the wave 3. Final wave 4 of the stacking comes in and you get a final 5th. At that point, maybe you're done with your wave C, right? And so that your brain, if you're not someone who's pretty frequent into Elliott wave, understands this is 3, 4 stacking into a final 5th. Now this can get more extended. These are just minimum targets, and it could easily go for much more. So what you're doing is managing your risk versus your reward in a long position here as a spot holder, and we're going, I'm willing to lose 7% to make a minimum man, I need a sip of coffee. I got a dry mouth. A minimum 27%, right? In a 3.74 risk to reward ratio. So Woo might do the doo-doo towards the upside instead of the downside. So could be worth it for this, but just know that we're chasing a C wave for upside liquidity. Does that make sense? So really good gains on the table. I would say I would bet around 62 to 79, if not taking the liquidity and going for 100% return on Woo. But let's just start out with the measly 27%. We'll go from there, okay? Today, as you can hear, is an iced coffee day. I'm having a nitro cold brew. I don't know if you guys ever drink those things, but the nitro cold brew has earned my respect. I absolutely love it. All right, so that was Woo. Let's cover anyone. Do you guys like coffee out there? I am a huge believer in coffee. Lattes. Addie actually got me addicted to flat whites. I really like a good flat white now. Thank you for that. All right, we're on log. Let's look at both here. This is a chart I have not looked at in a little bit. People ask me about it, but I never look. So the reason I'm not super interested in it is this is a beautiful three-wave motion, right? You're also stuck under your daily bull control zone, meaning the EMA of 50. And if we go ahead and lose the RSI of 50 at any point, that will go ahead and lock it into a daily bear control zone, which is not what you want on this project, okay? Man, 22 likes on the stream. Thank you guys so much. All right, so if we put math on this, oof, missed the click, from low to high to low, we can see that this three swing came in a corrective nature and ends on what? This is something that I cover all the time in our technical analysis and in the community. Here it was. Sorry, guys. Ends on high volume with a high oscillation, right? When this happens, it's stuck at 1 through 1.382. The majority of the time, that's just a corrective motion, meaning likely this is an ABC, right? So if that's an ABC, which is okay, more can come from ABCs. You just need this now to be a three-wave motion and looking for more upside. But the problem is, God, she snores so loud, is that it's likely to be a B wave. And by that I mean 3 waves in A followed by 3 waves in B before you get the next motion to the upside. And B waves typically like to take even out to the 2 in time or longer. So I'm not super stoked on this, especially when we go to lower time frames and I look into this leg towards the upside, right? That looks like a 3-wave motion. It also ends on high volume. Not something that I'm super interested in being part of. So I would have to let this one go for right now. I think even the extensions agree with us here. 3-wave motion to the 1 through 1.382, likely a 535 and an ABC ending on high volume. Now it can chain more stuff together, but until this begins to give me some sort of 5-wave motion or a more probable L8 wave setup, I don't have time for it, right? I don't care for it. So I'll move on from anyone and let's go check and see what else you guys got. Boom, boom, boom. We did FET for my dude. I hope that was helpful, ACU. I hope you're doing good, my dude. Yeah, I do. I got the gems in my pocket still. I'm not giving them out yet. How many people? Yeah, I only have 7 people here. 7 people is the perfect time to give a gem out. That means it's the only 7 people who give a shit. So Cookie has made a valid reversal. Okay? Cookie has also made a valid, what I think is a wave 4. And it's going for the wave 5. Now, locally, for all of you people who give a shit, come every day, that means that a 5-wave motion will be done. We will look for regular bear divergence. When this oscillation comes up, we will look for a lower RSI or volume, meaning we have a momentum divergence. If that occurs, my dudes, this buyback of this three-wave motion is going to be epic, right? We're looking to buy that 11 cent, 12 cent range here on Cookie. And I'm going to show you why. Because our move of origination was 420%, right? How can I fight that? How can I fight a 420% gainer, right? So if I'm looking for Cookie to make this next move to the upside, right, that gives me around 50 cents. That's a beautiful psychological number. Right? These are beautiful gains. We bought Cookie at the lows. I bought it not 0.1017, I believe. So I'm like right in here. So I'm not going to sell any more or any of mine. I haven't started DCAing out until we go for this fifth wave. Okay. And the cool thing here is that we are making like exactly what we want to see, right? High volume in 3, high oscillation in 3, pull back in 4, pull back in 4, shallow correction, building our confidence. The next thing I want to show to you here is super subjective, but it fucking gets me excited. Anytime I see this accumulating arcing, I look for parabolic moves. I look for that next move, right? All right, so if we're looking for a wave 5 here on Cookie, and where I'm looking to start DCAing out of my position, maybe just a smidgen to see what happens. Let's get this as close as I can. I apologize, I don't have my glasses on. Is around 0.1538. Right, so if we form said divergences we talked about on RSI, on volume, we get the momentum divergence, great. So then I'll start to DCA out. From our last buys, and we did this in the Discord community and on the live stream, will give me around a 50% return. Now people are going to say, why wouldn't you just hold that buy? Oh my God, why not? Well, if I take the 50% liquidity that I just took in from the market and hold on to it, I can buy back with more buying power in a three-wave pullback instead of just sitting through this 23% loss. The other thing to consider, like we talked about early on in the stream, is that we don't give projects loans on our money. So let's say this ends, this is an estimation. This could take at least out until the middle of October of correction after putting in that high. Right? So this kind of aligns with FARTBOY's B wave high and then a pullback also. So if Cookie gives you said 5-wave motion, you look for a big pullback until the middle of October. And then fucking fireworks, right? Because you're looking for around a 50% motion at least. Because what we're truly looking for is impulsivity, right? So if we get impulsivity, that next target for Cookie is the impulsive roadmap, which takes this up to around 24 cents to battle that psychological range. If not, 32 cents, okay? And on the macro, that's not even reaching our first targets yet, right? So that's just getting you in there tickling the tip to see how it feels, right? That's not even the big show. You ain't even there yet. So Cookie is one of the gems, and I hope people are watching it. This will be a good one to be watching out for. All right, let's go check and see who's all here and if we've got any other chart requests. So that was one of the gems. No one asked for it, but I share it because I like to share charts with you that have high probability setups that can get you paid out, okay? So I appreciate you all being here. That's why I continue to share. All right, so the next chart request that we have in the last chart request on the docket is STRK. If anybody else has any other chart requests, please get them in. We've been going on this stream for about an hour and 46 minutes so far. So if anybody has any questions or any other charts, do get them in. All right, so the next one is STRK. That's STRK, Stark Industries. God, my dog is snoring. Beatrice. Hey, wake up. She said no. She kept snoring. Pretty sure she said fuck me just then. All right. So you're going to see a most beautiful ABC is my best guess for you. Now, let's take a peek here. What do we got? You have a smidgen of internal liquidity left behind here. And by smidgen, I mean not a fucking lot. That little area. And look right back where you're at, right? So from wick to wick, that's the untouched liquidity. You're right at it again. And the thing that I want you to realize that is off the lows for STRK is we have 3 up, 3 down, and likely 5 to the upside. After which you get 3 down. This looks like 3 up and 3 down again. This is your correction, right? So you have a leg and we got a partner leg. And that partner leg is waiting to sweep liquidity. Now, nothing about this to me looks bullish, right? It looks like an ABC, common ABC into liquidity. So what I would look for is common extensions. I'm not bullish. I'm not excited for it. So maybe it proves me wrong, gives me reasons to be bullish, but for now I'm not. So it's got a direct hit coming up. It looks around the psychological range of 20 cents. That should fill the liquidity left behind. Hit the 1.236. Roll this. And then poof to the downside. That would be 3 up, 3 down, 5 up. Okay? ABC, classic bullshit. An Elliott wave. They might even give her a little bit of volume to push it. But I think that's going to be an ABC. Doesn't look super good to me. Okay? All right, so we did STRK. Let's do Brett. R-E-T-T. It's the double T, Brett. Brett with 2 T's. That's how you know he's super cool. It's Kyle with a C. All right, what else do we got here? All right. Sorry, I'm trying to get a sip here. So on Brett, we can see the obvious 5-wave motion. But let's go dig into it, and then let's analyze the correction more and see where we could be going. All right. So classic Elliott wave, if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Divergence on volume, divergence on RSI. These are good things to see. Let's delete everything here. So either that's 5-wave motion in A or a wave 1, right? I'm going to have to decide what the correction comes all the way over here and now is trying to get going. And that we're looking for more strong motions towards the upside. Now, with this looking somewhat like a 3-wave motion in a connector, I want to get a base channel on it from high to low. Okay, because that right there is going to, I think, tell us everything we really need to know about the motion and to know when the correction is over. So I'm going to go to this pivot. Even though we cut through, I don't care. I care about my first 3 areas of interaction, and then we monitor for price action after that. So until this can get above the daily bull control zone, the 50 EMA located around 0.04775 and out of this channel, it's going to be a hard one for me to believe in. The other thing I would really like to do is a base channel from low to the high. And I really want to start seeing this move up and into that center line, right? Let's get some math on here so we can talk about targets and invalidation also. That's a really good confluence of the one line top of the channel. If not, maybe it takes us a long time to get there and we end up at 1.236. That's also, do you see the liquidity in this hammer candle here? So if we measure from body to wick, the 50% region of that wick, meaning here, is really good liquidity to come back for, right? So that's what I would be watching for, is to see, do we push up to that one line around 13 cents to take that liquidity there? But you've got to manage risk, right? So that means you've got to know how bad will the fall into the pit of sticks be if I put in $100, right? So for every $100 I put in this project, how hard am I going to get hit? So if you were to enter this project here with a known invalidation on the lows, that's a 20% loss. Seems about what every project is looking like on average. To go for around 169%, that's a 7 risk to reward trade setup. Super good trade setup, but the problem is a lot of times once we get beyond kind of like a 5R setup, once we start talking about 6Rs, 7Rs, 12Rs, that's a little fucking unrealistic, right? A lot of times those won't pan out. So just something to be aware of. All right, let's take a sip and then move into the micro. Also, really quickly before I go anywhere. All right, that was good enough for government work for me. All right, let's go look at the micro here to see how we could manage a position. And of course it's ugly as shit, because that's the only way this would be. Fuck. I would say only bullish thing I could come up with is because this could have ended on 5, you could be okay, right? Oh man, he's in his house. How you doing, MJ? So, but here's the downfall of this, and this is at least what I think is the weak spot in this setup, is the way that this begins to make its ascent in a 3-wave motion, and then up and a down, yeah? Making it probable that's a 3-wave motion up and a 3-wave motion down and a successive 5-wave motion up. With divergence starting to set in here on the RSI, as you can see, I would be a little nervous until I could see more from this, right? Because of how hideous this start is, it's hard to say that it made a real reversal instead of saying, you know, it's just an ABC of some kind. It is battling that channel. You can see, look at that resistance there. That's damn near perfect. Beautiful supports, beautiful resistance. The other thing I could say is maybe we just let this go on for a little bit. But as a spot holder, you have a 7% risk to the downside, right? So it's like I put $100 in, I'm gonna lose $7 plus fees or spread. I like that I pinned a message in the comments and it says "Good day, everyone" instead of "Good day." Come on. All right, so let's see, can we get kind of a 4-hour reversal delta? This is something that I think is very plausible, but until we can get another high and then start to form some sort of probability here where we come back, fill liquidity, and make a larger swing, that would be my biggest area of interest versus buying now. Just because of the way the lower time frames look. All right, so that was Brett. Dude, MJ, you're too nice. All right, so the next thing that we have after that was COTI. COTI is not my favorite chart. Wow, dude, we've had 72 people come to the stream today. Thank you all so much for your time. I really mean it. All right, the next thing that we have that I just said was COTI, so let's go ahead and look at that. Let me write that down. Boom, boom. All right. All right, COTI. Where are you at? Now, I personally want to be interested. I shared this in the Discord as to why. It comes from this 5-wave motion with a what? 3-wave pullback, okay? This is known invalidation currently, all right? So what I'm doing as a trader on this is telling myself I'm looking for a 1 through 1.382, but likely I'm looking for an impulse. Why is that? Or why do you guys think I would be looking for an impulse at this point? Anyone who's been here for a little bit understands the angle of the dangle is imperative, right? And this here chart's angle of the dangle is telling you that it's ready to leave a base channel, right? The other thing that you should be paying attention to is what? Rising volume, right? Volume's picking up. Volume's telling us people are gaining interest, and it's people in the know that aren't dumbasses. So what you're going to do is call this hard invalidation around 0.445. Fuck letting this one prove itself. I just buy a small piece of spot here, and I hold on, right? So I toss $100 in the fucking machine. It's $100. Who gives a fuck, right? I buy a little taster. And I tell myself, you lose this, that's a 6% loss. I don't give a shit. And I'm going for the 1.618, right? So I turn that on. Bang, bang. I don't have time every day to be like, oh no, what if? Sometimes you just gotta fucking get your feet wet, start getting it on. All right, so why didn't this work? That's why. You damn computer. It's got a mind of its own. It knew I wanted a 2.236, but it won't let me put it there. Come on. Let's make sure we're working. All right, now we're working. All right, so in an ABC, the angle of the dangle doesn't typically leave a channel, right? Bang. The B wave typically doesn't happen so fast in such a beautiful three-wave motion that doesn't even fill the internal fair value gap left behind. Yeah, toss some fucking fun dollars in the machine. Let's ride this thing, right? Even if I only make this, it's 10% in spot. I give a shit, right? So I'll take this bet. Yeah, I'll take this bet. I'm going to take this bet. All right. Sorry, I'm busy buying something at the moment. All right, so rising volume, angle of the dangle. I'm going to go ahead and say my target for this is to go for the wave 3, right? We had a good divergence on the lows. We had a good divergence on the selling volume of the lows. That's something I want you to pay attention to, right? Volume of sellers drops. RSI gives what? Regular bull div. This is fucking amazing. This is beautiful. We have a momentum divergence on the lows, right? So now let's confirm and see, do we have a momentum divergence on our cipher B? You can use the Fu Manchu. You don't have to go give these people your money. You can see we have a continued regular bullish divergence on the momentum where we found support here again with a green buy dot. Even this green buy dot while the RSI was green was a good sign. But you know, we're looking for this to continue to make motions towards the upside, in my opinion. But again, my opinion's like an asshole. Everybody's got an asshole and they all stink. All right, so on COTI, for now, let's stay focused here on that 4 hour. I think that's where our trade call will be for now on this. And we'll cover later, and I'll keep it up to date in the Discord as to the macro and the micro as we move forward with this one. But I do think COTI's going to be one to look out for. We're looking for around from here 20% return on our money with the macro hope for now of around 30% before we start DCAing out, right? And by that, what I'm saying is if you do get a 5-wave motion up here in a wave 1, a wave 2, a wave 3 that reaches a minimum wave 3 of 1.618. And I say minimum because they can go much higher. Okay, wave 3 can reach up here before we get a pullback. But anyhow, let's talk about this as our micro, right? Then what do we look for? We look for after a divergence between 3 and 5 on the RSI and volume. And we look to buy that 3-wave pullback. That would likely end up all the way back here anyways. So if you're a buyer here, make sure you sell into the divergence so your ass don't revisit your shit. Don't get yourself a round trip ticket unless it's to Europe. Don't do it for any of these projects. They don't give a shit about you. Speaking of Europe, man, I need to get back to London. I miss my people. I've been gone too long. All right, so the next chart we have is going to be flare. Followed by, and that was for Daneska on flare. Boy, you love flare. We talk about flare every day, you and I. Then we got Algorand we're looking at for Dubai Fitness. Litecoin coming up after that for 611. DOGE for 611. Thanks for asking for two of the hardest charts to look at, buddy. And Cake for Dr. T. I personally have looked at Cake. It is not my favorite chart, but we will cover it. You guys will get to see, right? I don't have the answers for everything. Nobody does. And you're going to notice quickly when we get to some of these charts that they are just really difficult. And sometimes you just won't have a super clear answer, and that's okay. All right, so let's move on. Our next chart is going to be Flare. And again, I want to thank you dudes all for being here. Thank you for your time. Seriously. So far, 23 likes on the stream. That is monumental for me. I don't think I've ever reached 23 likes on a stream. Thank you guys so much. All right, let's move into Flare for you. Dineska, this is for you. All right, so there's two ways that we can look at this, right? One way is a leading diagonal. And I'm going to move that last point of connection here soon. This could even be here so that we have just a clean 5 waves instead and say that was all corrective. After a leading diagonal, we typically look for around a 78% retrace. So I'm a holder of Flare. I've been buying it pretty heavy in these pullbacks. So I'm going to keep holding my Flare. But I'm very open to being wrong. Okay? So either one of two things. One is leading diagonal, contracting leading diagonal. It's getting tighter. It's wedging in on itself. Meaning after which we typically drop to the 78.6% retracement of the total motion up as the most probable support, which would get you back into this internal fair value gap, which I think would be an amazing buy-in. Now, it doesn't mean we get that. It just means it's on the table, right? Now, 1-2 stacking an Elliott wave is more probable than diagonals. So if this is 1 into 2 and 1 into 2 and 1 into 2, you're looking for those to start paying out towards the upside. Does that make sense? And this is like far down the road, right? So it's really hard for me to start giving you these kind of mathematical targets until we see probability shift. Now, I'll show you where that probability shift point will occur. And at that point, you can start getting super bullish and stop waiting for a lower buy-in. Okay, so if what we see here is a local motion, if that local motion can make a reach towards the upside that hits a minimum wave 3 target of around 0.4304, then we will know that shit is finally happening for you, okay? And at that point, you would then be looking for, hey, that's 5 waves within my yellow wave 3 done. Then I look for another wave 4. Then I look for another what? Wave 5 to the upside. Now, I hope at this point you can start to see kind of how 1-2 stacking is a really monumental move. Now, with Flare being such a big thing, and I'm a believer of the ecosystem, my macro count is that this 5 waves is an A, this is a B, and now we're looking for a C towards the upside. Now, I would rather believe this is 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 stacking, and that we're going to get a scary fucking steep C wave, right? That gets even up to 1.618. But for now, let's just stay kind of focused in, okay? AG's in his house. What's up, my dude? Yeah, we've been hammering this thing out for 2 hours and 6 minutes like a fucking champion because all we've been doing is covering charts and having fun. But due to the motion this made down, we're going to side with this being a B wave for now. and looking for a C wave to the upside. The other thing that we have to be aware of is what if that 1-2 stacking is real 1-2 stacking and not a C wave because it occurred off of a real low, right? So that inception point makes each one of these lows a hard invalidation point, right? So as long as Flare is hanging on to this low here around 0.02, we're good. Fuck golden showers. We're looking for upside, right? And that's how we get to this 0.43 to 0.5 psychological range, right? And again, like we've talked about in other charts, that's how 1-2 stacking plays into 3-4 stackings. So I want you to notice a high risk play. I fucking do. But I think sometimes I put a little risk on the table to make a whole lot of money, and it potentially will do you right. You know what I'm saying? So let's see, do we get triple 3-4 stacking into a wave 5, right? Let's move this up here. Let's move this up here. And this would essentially be the roadmap that you would be looking for in a triple stack. So you've got triple 1-2 stacking off the lows, looking into triple 3-4 stacking on the highs. This is no different, guys, than your Bitcoin macro picture, okay? And I've shown you this already in the stream, but we're just going to revisit it so you can understand. Triple 1-2 stacking, triple 3-4 stacking, okay? Everybody's flipping bullish right now. Let them be bulls. Make it prove it to you. Right now, to me, so far, Bitcoin looks like an ABC to the upside, right? I don't think it's hit its target yet. I don't think it's over. Don't short it. But I do think we're getting there, right? We are getting there, my dudes. So you have grinding down low and grinding up high. And that's imperative to understand because Elliott Wave likes to do this. And this is where it gets everybody fucked. It gets this little choppies. And then it gives those little choppies up here. And everybody starts flipping bullish. And it will give sometimes the one more. And then it goes bap and takes it all back. Now, in this instance, once we begin to get this move, guys, then we can talk about how I can give you mathematical probability for what is actually occurring on the chart. Because how this move acts and its mathematical placement coming down will tell us everything we need to know for about the next, let me give you a target here. We can actually do this better on a daily. For about the next, let me make sure I give it to you right. Come on, computer. My eyes can't see without my glasses today. All right, let's say we reach it today. That would mean the low of that next correction would be in around November 4th. I want you to know that's when I leave for Mexico. So hopefully we get opportunities handed to us right before I have to leave. And boom, we're off to the races. You know? But for me, we talked about how this can turn into a 1-2 and how we can start making more to the upside and why I'm de-risking my shorts at that point around 126,700-ish. There's really no reason to cover more. What's up, Con? I hope you're doing well. Con says, Bitcoin can't go lower to 90K with alts moving higher. What planet you living on? I live on planet Earth, and in my opinion, if here on planet Earth, this is a wave 4 correction in an ABC, Bitcoin would definitely impact those alts when and if that move came down in a C wave. So that could be good, but it's all relative to dominance, right? If you look back over time, Bitcoin price, Bitcoin dominance, typically bullish in the month of October, right? So right now we're likely seeing Bitcoin dominance go up with Bitcoin price going up. That's why not a whole lot of these altcoins are just ripping off into the sunsets the way you would like to believe they were. Or people would like to make you believe they are. All right, so we looked at Flare. The next one's going to be Algorand. Ha! That's a good play on words, 6. If it goes under 90K, it's over. It's fucking over, bro. That's why I'm not telling you it's going under 90K. I never said that to you. I don't know who put that thought in your head. I don't even think I've said it the whole stream, my man. But I do appreciate you being here. How long have you been in cryptocurrencies, Mr. or Miss Khan? And what is some of your most high play, high conviction projects that you're looking into this year? All right, the next chart request that we had up was Algorand. I personally own none of this one, so let's go see how it's been going. The 50 moving average on what time frame, friend? On the weekly. Okay. Sorry, my old eyes couldn't read it. Yep, and that sits right around 100K. Good job. That's great observation. Nice, you do Elliott Wave too. Hell yeah. I think there needs to be more Elliott Wave people out there. I think that it's a great strategy as long as we're involving the objectivity of math with it. I think it's amazing. So that's a good observation on the 50 EMA. I also use this as my bull control zone. I think it's amazing. Oh, you think it's very subjective? That's good. Everybody likes different things, man. I'm happy. I hope. What strategies do you like to implement in your trading? All right, let's get going on Algorand while we wait to hear back from Mr. Khan. All right, so due to this motion off the lows and the end on high volume, I am going to have to side with this being a three-wave motion and an ABC to the upside for now. Until this can prove it otherwise, you know, that's how I'm going to have to be. We also need to look at it with math here. So if we go from low to high to low with these extensions, you know, that motion is significantly bigger than the first motion. So it does relatively drop the probability of a 1-2, 1-2. And with it ending on high volume, I do have to side with that being an ABC. So currently, I really have no interest in Algorand. I'm also open to moving that B wave here because we had a similar style correction on Chainlink and I think a couple other things that we looked at in the past. But, you know, for now, I'm just going to pop it here because it really doesn't matter. And again, a three-wave motion ending on high volume. Again, these type of things are likely an ABC, right? Personally, I don't own any Algorand. I'm not interested in it. Yes, we can see this first leg or ABC at a certain point give a partner leg. But, you know, with it being a three-wave motion up, a lot of times we're waiting for a corrective motion. And with this low being in before the 382 in time of the structure, I don't believe that's the low. I think this is the first leg of the correction. And at some point, you'll give another leg of that correction. That would be the low I would be interested in. So yes, this could be 3 up, 3 down, and this could give 5 up, and then finally give that leg down. So you could see potentially some local upside into the zone. But overall, I think it will just chain together some more corrections. All right. So Algorand is not my favorite chart, but it's pretty good. It could work out for people. It could work out for holders. Litecoin is one that we've been watching for quite some time. Unfortunately, with as complicated as this correction is, I'm open to a WXY that's just a regular WXY or a WXY where the Y ends in a triangle, and this is our actual low. There's numerous ways to peel a banana, just like there's numerous ways to put a count in Elliott wave, but in the end of the day, getting the fucking piece of fruit in your mouth and making some money is all that matters. I began taking positions in Litecoin around 87 to 80 bucks, so I started dollar cost in this area. Everything's going well so far. We are above the gateway drug, and we are moving off of it as support. For now, I'm going to continue to look for my macro targets, which I based off of linear with this motion because of how long the correction's been going on the weekly. And that takes Litecoin to 270 to 304. If it's able to defeat the bearish probability shift point around 338, then we would look for the most probable area of interest, which is an expansion. For now, I'm just going to stay biased to get myself here with those investments, and then we'll figure out more. I want you to also notice the probability shift point of the 0.236. I don't know if Spang is here today, but that is a massive, massive thing to see. It's like turning this magnet on. It's like someone hitting the power switch and just price action likes to find the golden pocket after that. All right. So, all right, we got that. That's Litecoin. We've talked about those before in other streams. All right, another chart, which isn't my favorite, but keeps me subjectively interested, and I say it again and again in every stream. This arcing typically leads to a parabolic phase at some point. Now, on Doge itself, it's very hard to clearly pick out 5-wave motions, right? You have to do a whole lot of bullshitting, in my opinion, to make it happen. The majority of this motion up looks like 3-wave motions, meaning 3 up, and 3 up. And I would like to say, this is 3 up again. I would like to say that if I see something like this, a lot of times it makes me have to lean more towards a diagonal, right? So far, Doge has not invalidated itself as a diagonal, meaning that the wave 5 has not become bigger than the wave 3. As soon as that occurs, then we can be like, oh shit. But as long as this high is in place, what I really like about Doge, and I talked about this in the server, is that this first motion here somewhat looks like a 5-wave reversal, right? And we'll zoom in here in a second, but this looks like a 3-wave for so far. So what I'm very curious on then is, do we become an A, we make a high B wave, maybe that high B wave even makes a new high, and then we give that final C. Now that would mean within B, you're making a simple zigzag in an A, B, and a C, okay? If that occurs, dude, this is amazing. You're getting tons of volatility out of this coin and a lot of trades, okay? So Doge is one to be looking out for. I think locally, let's go into like a 4-hour, because we started plotting this in the Discord. I think it was last night. I think it was Centrist who might have sent me the chat. Or maybe it's Jalapeno, actually. I think it was Jalapeno. So 1.382 is reached in an ABC motion, right? In 5, 3, 5. So because of this, it sets up probability to be that we take those highs. Now when we come down here, just to clean up the screen, we notice that this successive motion, now this is a fucking pigsty, but if you go from low to high to low, it's well past 1.618, right? Even on log, it doesn't change shit. So that's how we know this is likely a wave 3 and 4, and it's moving towards the upside to finish this to a wave 5. I don't think this is over yet in the A, okay? I think after which it will make a B wave pullback, and this is the leg that I want to be long for. And eventually DCA out and flip to a short. Now, how this makes this motion up will tell me and dictate whether or not I DCA out or hold or go short or what we do. But there's so much price action story left to this before we can get there, okay? You can see we're starting to make the divergences on the RSI and on the volume. So high volume, volume's drying up a little bit. Let's see what happens. We're coming into an area of interest. This could be the momentum divergence, okay? But that's Doge. Let's go look at Cake. Cake is not my favorite. I want to buy it so badly. Every cycle we kind of see this thing where, like, you know, BNB, the native coins of the exchanges begin to move, right? Cake being one of them. This to me looks like 3 waves up and 3 waves down and 5 waves to the upside. I think people are about to start becoming excellent liquidity for this move. Okay? I think this is an A wave into a B into a C. Let's put some math on it, but I think it could be wrapping up here soon. So we come into the 1 through 1.382, find resistance, and then what do we see? A 3-wave pullback, right? Beautiful. Now this makes it where we have another mathematical attachment from 0 to 3 to 4 to look for a wave 5 target, right to where I drew my C to. So fucking $4.09 is our next target. We start to break that with a whole lot of confidence, and we'll talk about more. But until then, that's all I could give this to the upside would be an ABC. And this is why I'm not overly stoked on it, right? Now, I love that it backtests the base channel. I love that it's coming up. But the problem is what? Divergences, right? Now, what they'll likely do is sell this to you in one of 2 ways. One is we get a regular divergence. You have an inverse head and shoulders here on your RSI, as you can see it. Nice hanging Chad on her. Look at that thing. Comes up, makes a divergence. At the same time, I don't know if they'll give you higher volume and pump it, or if they'll continue the volume divergence also. But I do think when Cake comes into this 409 range, we're looking for a decent pullback, okay? That's just my opinion. I think buying Cake up here is a high-risk scenario. I think you're behind the 8 ball on this already, okay? Even overall, you can see the volume, right? Momentum divergence, okay? All right. Anybody have any other charts? Let's go look, check the chat, see what else we got in the chats. Bop, bop, bop. Oh, man. Oh, you got great points, Con. I love it, man. Thank you. Oh, yeah, trade the NQ futures. Nice, dude. We have some people we have in the Discord. A lot of people trade options on it and day trade the indices and stuff, too. 5 years. Damn, dude. That's a good chunk of time. Good for you. Most people get washed out way before that. It's nice to see you've lasted this long, Con. You see a top in Bitcoin by November, December with alts running into Q1. That could very well be. You know, we've seen in past cycles Bitcoin tops and certain altcoins go on and certain ones don't, right? So we've reviewed that in the past. It seems like a typical thing that we can see. What's up, Simply Better? How are you, dude? That's PFP is sick. Is that your own dog or is that a different dog? It looks like a terrier. Maybe like a pit bull. All right. So the next thing is Con. Then we talked about Algo. Dubai Fitness said, will it have enough time in this cycle to go up, then come to that low before alt season? So I like that you put quotes around it. And I'm even kind of putting air quotes up in the room, right? About altcoin season. Altcoin season means not shit, right? And I want you to get that in your mind. Certain altcoins are going to go to this party. Will all altcoins go to this party? No. And I personally have fell victim to that before, right? Where I was like, dude, you just need to get some fucking darts on the dartboard and we need to start making money now. So then I start just buying all this random shit that I see people shilling on the internet. And that's where you end up in coins that aren't necessarily have bullish setups. and they don't go to their altcoin season, okay? So not everything will. All right, so Simply Better asked if we can look at XPL. I have never looked at that before. So for you, my friend, I would love to. Reese, what's up, dude? Reese's in our Discord, I believe currently on trial. Would be a great person to hear. Like, how have you liked your trial in the Discord? How's your time been there? Have you received value while there or not received value, right? Share your very open opinion here. You're not going to hurt my feelings. But I hope you've enjoyed it. All right, the next one after that, chart request wise, is we have Volt for Dubai Fitness. All right. Who the fuck is snoring? Do you want me to tell you? Her name is Beatrice. She is a beautiful little English bulldog. She's brindle. She insists to be in the office when we do the live streams. She's over here laying in the sun, sunning her belly, snoring in all her greatness. But yeah, that's Beatrice. I apologize for her snoring. If you want me to make her stop, I can give her a good nudge. My crypto goods. Also, thanks for coming to the stream, man. We got a lot of good new names in here. Really fun to see all these people, dude. All right, let's keep on rolling. Dude, she cracks me up too, trust me. She's my best friend. I bring her everywhere I go. I love my dog. She is a sweetheart. All right, XPL USD. Let's do a USDT pair. I believe you're looking for plasma. Haha. Isn't the blood bank is too. All right, so what we can do with this is not a whole lot unless there is an older chart. So let me look at another chart. XPLU. Whoops. USDT. All right. So let's do Binance. All right. Little bit better of a chart. With these big inception wicks, they're really hard on you for charting. They really, really are. We have a divergence that came in here into the highs, right? So you have, oh, no, you don't, because your inception was not even on the RSI. You didn't have enough time to even make an RSI. All right, so really the only thing that we can say here is what if this is the first leg of a correction to the downside, right? And now you're trying to make a three-wave reversal and then further rejection, okay? I would say that's my most probable scenario. And with such, limited data on this chart, for now, that's what I have to lean into. But for right now, let's get a retracement going. So as you can see, we've had no interactions with the 0.236 yet, okay? I'm going to zoom in and then we'll begin to break down this more. I do want you to see something that I'm very subjectively super into. We're all into different shit, man. It's whatever gets your jollies going. So as we made lower closures on price action, meaning the flat spots on the candle, flat spot, your RSI is calculated off of closures. You can see that here. Now, as you make a lower closure on price action, meaning actual flat spots on the candle closures, you made a higher closure on your RSI. When that occurs, that is a regular bullish divergence, right? As soon as we see a regular bullish divergence, we should start to look for reversals. Now, I also like to really pair that up with volume to see, am I getting a momentum divergence? Now, what do you see on the volume along with that divergence on the RSI? A divergence on volume, right? So price action makes lower closures, volume does not. This is a momentum divergence. So we're looking for a reversal. Yes? So we have what to the upside? Potential three-wave motion, right? In my opinion, this here, from this point to this point, looks like a complicated correction, okay? It looks like 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, okay? For now, that's what I'm going to use for our maths because I think it's going to be what's going to help us the most, okay? So we note our divergences. Now we're looking for that leg to give a partner leg. So now we're going to use math to see objectively kind of where our area of interest is and what we're looking for. Now I want you to see the angle of the dangle, how well this thing's just popping up, right? It's like, it's there. No one's denying that. All right, the other thing is, it's going to be a little messy. We're out of a base channel, right? A lot of times when we can get this, it means it is a higher probability that it either A, will be a very extended correction towards the upside, or B, that it's impulsive, right? So if we're looking at this as either an A or a 1, A1 steak sauce, into a B or a 2, then we are looking for a 3 or a C to the upside. Now, with this already giving, as many people are pointed out from my community, an amazing arc and price action moving into a parabolic phase, we cannot capitalize on this until we can see a range, right? I would now, even then, I don't care until it hits $1.02, $1.03 technically. It hits $1.03 and gives me a range in a 4 that resets an RSI with way back in here. Dude, buy the dip, don't trip, and we'll run it up for one more, right? And then we figure out what's going on, right? Because then we're like, oh shit, that could be the big pullback, right? So this is definitely one to keep your eyes on. Know that it's moving into an area of interest where we could see it start to get stiffed. But I think, you know, that psychological range of $1, as you can see, has already been a lot for it, right? You can see how it's reacted to that area. So let's go into a lower time frame. Beatrice is not entertained with my charting. She is just fucking sawing logs. She thinks I'm an idiot. We had a bearish hammer candle here at the 1.382. You still have no divergence on the RSI for a regular bear, but I do want you to take notice to a hidden bear divergence on your RSI. You can see that we have, let me move this out of the way so you can actually see it. God, that was a good snore, Beatrice. We have higher RSI with lower price action closures. So higher RSI, lower price action closures is typically a hidden bear divergence. So it's in an area that's kind of dangerous as a holder. Be careful, okay? All right, so that is that guy. We did Cake, we did XPL. The next one is Volt. V-O-L-T. USD. I always want them to be on Coinbase, but they never are. All right. Volt NU. Oh my God. I'm like still salty from that coin cock NU. That I can't take any coin seriously with the NU after it. So with these bullish divergences on a daily, you are trying to see, can this get a reversal at some point? I'm not one to buy into a forever downtrend, and in my opinion, that's what this is. I wouldn't buy this with fucking free money, okay? Until this can make some sort of micro reversal, I would not give a shit, you know? This is bullshit. This is a horrible, horrible chart. It really, really needs to give us confirmation before we can say anything about it. And for now, no confirmation, okay? So, but we'll keep looking into that one. All right, what else do we got here? We got XLM for Ted. My man, let's get it done. How have you been, Ted? Haven't seen you since the last stream. Covered Volt, XLM. XLM's our last chart request. So if you guys got any other chart requests, get them in. We've been going on this stream for 2 hours and 35 minutes so far. It's a fucking marathon stream. We've got 105 views on deck so far, 27 likes, and 14 people here currently. I want to say thank you to all of you for coming today. I truly, truly appreciate it. All right, so the next thing that we have after XLM comes to us from Stella's YouTube. Nice. All right, we're looking for KASPA. We recently analyzed this one in the Discord, so I might already have a chart ready for it, so it might make it easier for us to talk through, and then we'll go through it. All right, so the next thing we're going to look at here is going to be XLM. I am still bullish on XLM. My bullish bias on XLM comes from a weekly. Beatrice, stop snoring so loud, please. All right, so this comes from the probability that we're looking for a last leg here as a wave 5, okay? I've already shared my macro count a million times, so I'm not going to relabel that. Our hopes here is that this is a 5-wave motion. We're looking for a center line reaction of the acceleration channel that comes in confluence around 0.62 cents. Okay. At that time, we will be looking for divergences. I'm very open to extended fifths if we were to see more bullish stuff come in. But what we really want to be open to is that XLM, XRP, those X's like to travel together. Okay. So just be aware of that. If you start to see XRP just kick it up a notch and start to go, prepare that XLM is going to be doing the same. With you, I will also share my XRP roadmap. We're going to stay fixated on this on linear. And our next target comes in around $4. Now, if XRP is to get extended, just like we talked about XLM, that's how we get upwards around 475, if not higher. Now, if any point, like I've already put this on, mega bull validation comes in, if you see XRP hit $6, that's your fucking moonbag, boys. That's not, I'm holding my shit from right here. Right? You're fucking selling that shit when we come into divergences. You're trying to be safe and reduce risk. Not be a, I'm trying to think of a nice word. Not be stupid and hold for some $27 dream. Right? That's later. Right? Trends are built with steps forward and steps back and steps forward and steps back. Those steps back are coming regardless if you want them to come or not. Every cycle, there's a bull cycle, there's a bear cycle. And in crypto, since I've been in it, it's been around fucking 90%. So plan on a sell-off, right? All right, let's go look at KASPA. Oh yeah, that's right. They don't like the whole word. Always forget that. All right. Now, this is what I like to call a pain in the ass chart. This chart for me, I think, is important to look at on a large time frame to understand where it came from, okay? And to also understand that it began to make bearish RSI divergences way back here, right? And its demise was kind of written in the cards after that. You can even see that on your volume, right? Continued RSI divergence, a momentum divergence, knowing that we were going to make that pullback. Now that we've done that, this is likely the cycle leg to the upside, with this low being in before what would be a 382 time trend fib. I have to side with that I'm just looking for a three-wave motion to the upside before another leg down. Now, can that B wave pull high? Yes, just like we're looking at on Bitcoin right now. We reviewed that earlier in the stream, right? So, yes, we can get that higher B wave. Does it have to happen? No, right? So the bias is towards it. The hope is towards it. But if at any point you start to lose the pivot at 0.60 and the low of the base channel, it is likely that you're getting this partner leg, right? So that leg will give a partner leg. And that likely area is to prior degree wave 4, right? And that is already the area of interest I've highlighted. I'm not interested in this project till 0.015 to 0.06725. And people are going to say, well, fuck, how does this coin go up and that one doesn't go up? Blah, 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 blah. You only focus on your project. We trade our project, right? For instance, FARTBOY. Everybody's, oh, fuck, it's got to go to 1 million because X, Y, and Z, because Bitcoin, because this. No, that's just whiny crap because you want to see your investment do good. What matters is the math of the situation. This is a completely different chart than this. You can't compare the two things. Just because chart X is going to do this doesn't mean chart Y has to do that. It's not how this space works. And anyone who's telling you that is sadly mistaken. I urge you to quit listening to them. Banger of a stream, dude. Yeah, thank you, Spen. Nice to see you here, dude. I was actually talking about you earlier. We brought up the 0.236 retracement, and I was telling people like that. You're the one who kind of gave it to me, so thank you for that. That's all of our chart requests, guys. We basically have covered every single thing that I can think of. This stream's nearly gone 3 hours. We don't typically get to run this long, so I do want you to know that I truly appreciate you all coming today, dude. 28 likes and 110 views is gigantic for me. I'm just a small account, so I truly do appreciate you guys coming by. If you enjoyed today's stream, share it with those around you. I'm going to go get this whole thing time-stamped, so if you guys want to check back through it, you'll be able to find your altcoins that easy. As always, dude, I truly appreciate your likes and your comments after the stream in the comment section so that others can see this stream. The other thing I will be doing is making some YouTube shorts out of the stream. So if anybody has any charts that they want turned into a YouTube short or a certain section that you would like a YouTube short over, let me know and I'll get that done, okay? As always, I pinned the comment up there in the top of the chat. It's got our Discord link in it for a free week trial. Come and check us out. There's plenty of people in here right now who are members and some that are on trial. So if you have an opinion about it, do share it. I'm sure others would love to hear. And always, man, come through the Discord, see what you think. Would love to have you, get to know you more than just these Mondays and see some of your projects also and meet you in the chats. But as always, guys, I super appreciate your time today. Really appreciate you all being here. I know you have busy lives. And I'm just super humbled that you even take the time to be here. So I thank you for coming. Monday is slowly becoming my favorite day of the week because of you all. So I will catch you all out there and I'll go get this thing time stamped up for everybody. Thank you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody.